Glad you brought that up.
I'd like to call this meeting of the Rhinebeck Planning Board to order. I believe the agenda, actually, Joni, Romeo does not wish to be, still does not,
Verbal only.
okay. So we're not sure whether they're going to be coming before us tonight to present? Okay.
Well, if they're, the bottom line is if they're not here, that means that the situation won't be heard.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Joni got a call from them saying they wanted to be off the agenda. She asked for an email, something, and that never was received.
Who was that?
Romeo at the 7:15 under regular business.
And we don't know, based on that call, Joan, whether that was a request to defer or to delete, or to just abandon.
So they'll have to clear that up. Otherwise, I think the agenda stands as it sits before you tonight.
The ZBA referrals may not be ripe, some of these may not be ripe for planning board consideration because it may well be that some of these items that I picked off the ZBA agenda as posted on the website have not in fact been referred to the planning board yet. And if they haven't been referred to the planning board, they're not ripe for consideration by this board.
Don't exist.
Although the public hearings have been held for all of them that are listed. So we will cross that bridge when we get to it.
Exactly.
Okay. Waiting for, okay, wait a minute. Well, let's move on here. Acceptance of planning consultants' meeting notes. Could I hear a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Very good. I don't think we have minutes to review this time,
Yes,
do we?
you do.
We do?
You have a special meeting of July 14th and regular meeting of July 21st.
As I said, I remember nothing from 3 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, did all the rest of you read these?
Yes.
Look at them?
Yep.
Comfortable with them? Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. The ZBA situation that Art has listed here about the Carolyn Marks Blackwood application, my understanding is that ZBA is dealing with it in their first meeting in September, I believe. Their attorney has provided them with a fairly extensive memorandum on how to decide what they're going to do. I do not know what's in that memorandum, so I have no idea what's going to happen.
Is that the 3rd of September, their first meeting? Is it the first?
It's the first Wednesday.
First Wednesday would be the 3rd,
Wednesday.
right.
And I believe that's when they're dealing with it, I'm pretty sure.
Just curious as to whether it's before the planning board.
And I believe so it is before our meeting, so we may, what we have to deal with on this on the 15th is going to depend on what the ZBA does. Also, the town board at its last meeting has accepted an amendment to the town zoning law on the mining overlay district. They will be referring it to the planning board. At this point, we're waiting for the EAF Part 1 and the other documentation we go with it so that we can properly look at that, because we have 60 days to get back to them with a recommendation on that. So I've pretty much penciled us in on September 15th to discuss that. Hopefully we'll have the information we need by then. If we do it on the 15th, that will be within 35 days of the recommendation. So we'll certainly, I think, within a timely manner on that. Can't think of anything else.
Just a clarification on the town board's acceptance for potential consideration. It's not formally introduced, the amendment, but they accepted it for initial consideration, review by various boards, et cetera. And the two items that are awaited before the planning board can conduct its review on the basis of the referral are the attachment to the EAF Part 1. The EAF Part 1 is part of the package that the town board accepted. There are some maps that are jointly being prepared by the CAB and myself that go along with the Part 1 that remain to be annexed to that EAF Part 1. And there is the proposed map of what would be the amended or the revised mining overlay district that the town board has engaged Mr. Graminsky to prepare. So those are the items that need to be added before the reviews by the planning board and the CAB can occur, and then the town board can move forward if it desires on the formal introduction.
And we'll certainly, as soon as that information's in our hands, I'll let you all know. There'll be copies at Joni's office that we can go over. So that's how we'll deal with that. And I see that we're right on time here for our first public hearing. All right, Irene Dish, Darren Davidovich, agent, 262 New York State Route 308 East, special use permit and site plan. conduct of public hearing on applications for special use permit and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125, excuse me, zoning to authorize, subject to grant of area variances by the ZBA, the conversion of an existing barn to a 2,100 square foot detached accessory apartment on a 4.129 acre parcel in the rural countryside RC5 district, being an unlisted action under seeker. Do you want to present to the public what you're going to do?
Sure. Coach to do this. So I'm Darren Davidowicz, representing Irene Disha, who is the contract vendee of 262 Route 308. And the proposal is quite simply to convert one of three structures on the property, one of three existing structures, into a detached accessory dwelling unit. The three structures are an existing house, which is closest to the road, Route 308. There's a small garage in between, just behind the house. And then there's a barn, a 2,900 square foot barn at the rear portion of the property, which has some nice views of the Landsman Kill Creek. And our proposal is to convert 2,100 square feet of the 2,900 square foot barn into a dwelling unit. It would be 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and the way we're going to accomplish the reduction in square footage is quite simply by carving out a portion of the second floor so that the first floor space in the living room, the kitchen area, has sort of a cathedral effect, a 2-story effect, and the bedroom section would be a single level so that you have a bedroom above a bedroom and a bathroom above a bathroom. The proposal is completely confined within the footprint of the building, so there's no proposal to do anything in terms of expanding the footprint, expanding the foundation. The only thing on the exterior of the building would be just a proposed small patio, which would just be a brick or paver patio at the rear of the building, just so that you weren't standing in grass or dirt when you walked into the structure. And as far as other improvements to the property go, the driveway is intended to stay in the same place. Some minor improvements to the existing parking area just to make it a little bit easier to turn around in the driveway and exit going forward onto Route 308 rather than having to back out onto Route 308, which is not an easy thing to do. And our proposal also contemplates the creation of a new septic system just for the detached accessory dwelling. There is an existing septic system in place on the eastern side of the property, and it's a little bit far away, and in elevation it doesn't quite work well for the detached accessory dwelling. So the proposal is to create a new 2-bedroom septic and 100% expansion area just to the west of the existing barn that's proposed for conversion. There is a pool on the property now that's intended to remain. There's a good amount of landscaping. Our proposal just contemplates fortifying that a little bit and moving some of the landscaping away from Route 308 and putting it closer to the pool and putting it closer to the structures, which we feel is just more aesthetically pleasing. You don't have this wall of shrubs along Route 308. You can actually see the structures, but from a privacy standpoint, it also does a better job by being closer to where you want privacy rather than all the way out at the road, leaving you feeling exposed to the world. And we are just, by way of history, we are currently processing with the Zoning Board of Appeals. There are 4 use variances in process. One of them...
Area variance.
I'm sorry, area variances, not use variances. One of them deals with the structure being too large for a detached accessory dwelling under Rhinebeck's code. Another deals with the lot being undersized. It's 4.129 acres in a 5-acre zone. The third deals with not having the required lot width at the front yard line of the main residence, which is part of the code. And of course, an undersized lot's going to have some issue in terms of its bulk requirements. And the last one is that we don't meet this front yard setback requirement of 100 feet. We have 62.9 feet, and the required is 100 feet of front yard setback. And it's important to note that that deals with the existing house, not this detached accessory dwelling. So most of those well, 2 of those variances in effect deal with the house less than the detached accessory dwelling unit. And we are currently in process with the Dutchess County Board of Health on the additional septic system, and we're hoping to get some comments back on that any day now.
Who did the site visit? Are they here? Continue to report on the site visit.
Okay, Jesse and I went out there last week. It actually looks like, I I mean, the building is already there, and so it's going to be an improvement, the way it looks. It's just an old barn right now. The outside dimensions are going to change. It's going to be improved. The parking was an issue. That'll be improved. The area between the barn and the current garage is grass, but that'll be a pervious surface, so that'll help. It's up on the hill, looking down on the kill, but we did have a question whether if it was in the 100 feet of the stream buffer. So did you check with Ron on that?
I wasn't able to catch up with Ron, but the issue you're referring to is the fact that the corner of the barn, the corner of the existing building, is within the 100-foot buffer of the stream. So the question for Ron is whether or not we need a stream permit or a wetlands permit for that.
The proposed septic site, leach field for the accessory apartment, is not within that buffer.
It is not within that buffer.
So really, any disturbance is not within the buffer.
That's correct. So the proposed disturbance is at least, from my eye, 30 or 40 feet away from the
Ultimately,
buffer.
it's the CEO's call on that, but I just think that might be taken into consideration.
Yeah, he's my first visit tomorrow morning, so hopefully we'll get a favorable response to that.
He'll be there around 10:30 usually.
Excellent.
I call first.
You speak like a CEO.
Yeah, I know. Scary, isn't it?
One other issue I should mention also came up at the zoning board meeting. I'm sorry to interrupt the site visit, and that was the village water department was there, a representative from the village water department, and they asked that we provide a direct service out to the main rather than what we had proposed on our plan, which is to connect through the existing house. So we'll make that revision in the final version of the plan. I'm sorry.
So, yeah, I think that was just a question we had on the wetlands, so just make sure everything was good, just check on that. And Jesse wants to add anything?
No, that pretty much covers it. And then the only other thing that might want to go on the site is if you do anything with the underground electric. Central Hudson gets involved if they want to refeed that barn. Or
Right, currently being served overhead to the existing structure in the barn. So I think our preference is to underground it. You know, I don't know the economics of that, but, you know, ideally, whenever possible, we try to do that.
yeah, that was it.
Any questions from the member of the board?
Yes. What is the purpose of the building? Why are you doing it? Rental property, income property?
No, the contract vendee intends to occupy the main structure, and then she has a brother who has Asperger's syndrome, so it's sort of a retire close to them situation, so they just want him on the same property. So he lives in New Jersey right now, in Fort Lee, New Jersey, and it's kind of a congested, busy place for him to be, so sitting on a stream, you know, with his books in a library, which is the whole point of the opening up the ceiling, and, you know, just sort of a nice residence for him in the country.
Anything else from anyone up here? Members of the public, any questions? Okay.
No.
I think Ryan has some.
Ryan. Oh, hi back there, Ryan. I need new glasses.
Everyone, Ryan Dowden, Chairman of the CAB. We were also present for the site visit with Jesse and Sharon, and we shared the same comment concerning the stream issue. And the other thing, just for the front with the stone wall, if somehow you can reclaim the stone and use that in the front as most as possible, you know, and as best as possible when you're redoing the landscape.
Yeah, no issue with that, and I think we're going to need some sort of retaining there just based on the way that grade falls off. So ideally, it would be that stone, but the wall may get lesser in size.
Those were all our comments. We will submit them to the board.
Okay. Thank you, Ryan. Okay. Any other questions, comments at this moment? Since it's pending before the ZBA still, we can't close the public hearing because we don't know exactly what the ZBA is going to do. So we will continue this public hearing to September 15th, and the ZBA, I assume, will be acting at their next meeting, I'm assuming. They had the public hearing, didn't they?
They had the public hearing. They have 60 days to act,
Okay.
which they're
Did they close
careful
the
to
public
point out.
hearing?
They closed the public hearing on
Okay,
that.
so they should be acting then, okay, before our next meeting on the 15th. So could I hear a motion to continue this public hearing to September 15th at 6:35?
Michael, is it an option to just make the ZBA a condition of approval at our risk, where we'd have to restart the whole process?
No. Unfortunately, it's not, because unless they act, we actually don't have an app. It's
don't
been
have
at risk that
approval.
we're actually dealing with the application now. If they shoot down even any of this, then the application either has to be modified or possibly shot right out the door, depending on which area variance they decide not to grant, assuming they decide not to grant one of them.
Understood. I'm just dealing with a little time pressure from both my client and also the sellers, because it's a
Yeah.
contract vendee situation. Is there a way to, if we're on the next agenda and the public hearing's able to be closed and we're successful
Oh,
with the
that's what we
ZBA,
would
for
hope
this
to have
board
the-
to act at the same time they close
Yes,
the public
that's what we
hearing?
would hope to do that.
Okay.
We just have to wait to see what the ZBA tells us we can do, basically.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear that there wouldn't need to be a closing of the public hearing meeting and then an action meeting.
No, we can close the
assuming-
public hearing and have the approval resolution at the same meeting.
Okay,
But we just need to know what we're approving, and we need the ZBA to act to sort of let us know.
okay. And that could be September 15, provided
Yes.
they take action
Providing they
before
do what
then.
they, if they give all the variances, then I see no reason why on September 15th we won't close the public hearing and have a resolution of approval for the special use permit and site plan at that time.
Okay, and do we have any other administrative items to do in terms of a neg deck or anything like that?
Yes, you do. There's an administrative item that needs to be taken care of by the planning board and ZBA. I think the planning board can address this item in that it has sufficient information about the application despite the
Lack of referral.
failure of the ZBA to refer this matter to the planning board. Planning board, ZBA, according to the zoning law, upon scheduling a public hearing, is supposed to simultaneously refer the application to the planning board for a 30-day review period. That
Okay.
was not done in this particular case. But I think the planning board fully understands this application, unlike the several others that I've noted on the agenda, and could make a recommendation on your own initiative to the ZBA. The only additional item I would add, only 2 of the variances that are included. I know that you've applied for 4 variances as requested by the code enforcement officer.
Exactly.
Technically, only 2 of those are required, and I think the planning board's report back to the ZBA should reflect that. Those variances that you referred to with respect to the lot width at the building line and the setback of the existing building are grandfathered conditions under the zoning law. Those don't have to be addressed through variance. The items that need to be addressed through variance are the size of the detached accessory unit and the non-complying nature of the lot. So I have, for the board's consideration, if you will, a little draft
Okay.
resolution that would deal with that.
And what we probably will have to do is, since the CEO did say he needs the other 2 variances,
We'll- yeah.
we'll just say,
And-
we have no objection to them, but
The board believes these are not required because of it.
since they said they are,
Yeah.
we would recommend on them
Right.
too, so
Yeah.
not to make any problem there.
Okay.
So this is what I have.
Okay.
Okay. Town of Rhinebeck Planning Board has reviewed upon referral, and it's not upon referral, the application for area variance submitted by David Badarin as agent for Irene Dish, and finds the requested variances to authorize, subject to Planning Board and Dutchess County Health Department approval, a 2,100 square foot detached accessory apartment on a non-compliant 4.129 acre parcel at 262 New York State Route 308 East to raise no other significant planning, zoning, or environmental issues. Planning understands there to be presence of practical difficulties cited in the application and recommends the ZBA rely upon its own study of the facts and decide this application in accordance with the criteria and procedures set forth at Town Code Chapter 125, Sections 125-124C and D, including due consideration of any input from neighboring property owners. In taking this position, the Planning Board believes the other variances requested are not needed, for they address a grandfathered existing condition, but takes no issue with their issuance.
Okay. You all hear that?
Yep.
Could I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, so the recommendation
That
is
will allow
done.
the ZBA to act.
Right. So that's done.
Right.
And did we reschedule this meeting?
We started
It
to.
happened so long ago, I forgot if we did or not.
Woody made the motion.
I think Woody made a motion and,
I'll second it.
okay, second. All in favor? Very good. So you're on for September 15th at 6:35, at which point, assuming the ZBA acts in a positive vein, we'll be able to conclude this at that time.
Excellent, thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, zipping right along. Our final public hearing this evening, John McGuire Jr., Mark Rominsky agent, 42 Ackerhook Road, special use permit and subdivision plat. Conduct a public hearing on applications for special use permit, conventional subdivision, under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning, and preliminary subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101 subdivision of land for authorization of the creation of 4 residential building lots in an existing house lot from the entirety of a combined 6.216 acre parcel in the rural countryside RC5 and neighborhood infill NIO districts being an unlisted action under seeker. Mark? I don't need one, but Sharon. Oh, that's so good.
Excuse me. My name is Mark Rominsky. I'm a consulting engineer and land surveyor. And I'm here tonight representing John McGuire for a subdivision application on property which he owns. It's located on the southerly portion of Acker Hook Road and the westerly portion of McGuire Lane. The parcel size is a little bit more than 6 acres in size. It's 6.215 acres. And this application, which was originally submitted as application for major subdivision for Mr. McGuire with the intent of creation of a total of 5 lots, has since changed when some more detailed engineering design has occurred on the property. Mr. McGuire's house is located on this property, and the original intent, as was advertised, for the application, was creation of 4 new lots. When began to look at the physical features of the property and through some testing for on-site sewage disposal, it was I determined that 4 new lots could not be created on this property. So it's now been changed from a total 5-lot major subdivision to a 4-lot minor subdivision. And I'll just kind of detail, I just wanted to bring that up because that was the original application. So through design, it's actually, it's gone from 5 to 4. John McGuire's house is located on the south side of Acker Hook Road, and along with the house, there's a existing garage structure located in the westerly portion of that property. This subdivision will create a new division line to the south around that property, and in addition to that, on the balance, that parcel size is going to be a little bit more than 2 acres, 2.192 acres. To the south, and that line is located right here. To the south of that will be 3 new lots will be created. Those lots will conform to the zoning that was revised zoning that was set in place for this particular property. It was a zone change that was adopted by the town board, and it's a neighborhood infill overlay district, which puts it back essentially to the zoning district that was in place before adoption of Rhinebeck new zoning in 2010, which is essentially a 1-acre zone. So that being said, the 3 new parcels being created are in conformance with that adopted zoning amendment for this particular property. And what they do is they utilize, all 3 of those parcels will utilize access off of McGuire Lane. 2 of the driveways are located right next to each other. The third a bit further down. And access for each of the individual lots will be from there. Sewage disposal will be on site. There are fairly well-drained soils in that area, so they in the ground, and very minor disturbance associated with that. And then what I've done on this plan is I've also detailed area to handle the stormwater management for this particular subdivision. There's some drainage that comes from the north heading south across Ackert Hook Road, which I've picked up in there's a swale that goes through John's property. It's to the east of John's house, located here. I pick it up and then I actually swale it to the back of lots number 2 and 3 that are being created, essentially taking care of handling all the stormwater on the site. There's some existing drainage structures that were originally installed as part of the original subdivision that created McGuire Lane and the houses around here, not utilizing any of that drainage infrastructure for this particular property. All off-site and on-site improvements will be managed on these particular lots. So there won't be any off-site discharge from stormwater to any of the adjoining neighbors. And so this plan details grading that represents that concept, and it also details locations for the on-site sewage disposal. One thing that I should note, I should have started out with this, is that there were actually 2 parcels that John McGuire owns for this particular property. There's the larger parcel, which is let's see, that is, I don't have the exact acreage with that, but somewhere around 6 acres. And then there was a small triangular piece located adjacent to McGuire Lane. If you look at the original subdivision app for creation of this, that piece, this small piece, was to become part and parcel with the larger 6-acre piece. That did not occur as part of the original subdivision for this property. It is now occurring. So this small piece becomes part and parcel with this, and then at the same time, it's now incorporated in the total of 4 lots being created in the subdivision. On-site testing. It was previous on-site testing occurred for the sewage disposal. Have made an appointment with the health department to revisit some of those tests since those were done in 2009. So application has not been made to the health department, but that don't anticipate any problems, and that's to occur soon. In addition, this would require approval by the highway department for 3 new entrances onto McGuire Lane. The previous application, when this started in 2009, they were previously approved by the highway department. John went to Kathy Kinsella for several years to have them renewed, and then finally it just, she couldn't extend them any further. So don't anticipate a problem with access to McGuire Lane regarding approval by the health department. And then finally, one other item, it's kind of a housekeeping item, so to speak. I did, after the application was submitted to this board and hearing was scheduled, I did receive comments from the CEO regarding this particular application, which relates to the last public hearing that you just had. And the CEO's only comments that seem to pertain to this would be to setbacks for existing structures. So the existing setback for John's house is less than, front yard setback is less than that is required, and the same thing, that's on the north side of his house, and then the same thing on the existing garage, which is now going to be on John's property also, or a parcel that he's going to retain. The side yard setback for that garage is less than the specified setback for the neighborhood infill overlay. So I guess that something to get into with discussion with this board afterward is how to proceed with that, whether it's an application to the ZBA is made for these area variances. That's it for my presentation
Okay.
to any questions.
I did the site visit by myself on the other day, and I can say the sign was up in front because I saw Mark put it up, and so we're all set as far as notification and all that is concerned. At the time, that's when Mark determined that 3 building lots plus the home lot were going to be appropriate for this property as opposed to the 4 building lots in the home lot. We walked around, we looked at the various sites for the houses, and a real effort has been made to maintain as many of the mature trees as possible so that you won't see that much of a diminishment of tree cover on the property. The engineering keeps the stormwater on site, so there's no off-site stormwater, public water, of course, and the septic systems, there's proper separation and whatnot. I didn't see any problems with this whatsoever. I know the last time we went over this, we were on the verge of approval when the new zoning law went into effect. I don't see that any problems have cropped up since then. That was what I got from the site visit. So, any questions from you guys for Mark?
I just have a question. I'm looking at the lots here. Did they change from what you gave us a month or so ago?
They did, because I went from, Sharon, I went from 5 to 4.
Yeah, but no, but like, I thought there was like a triangle. I thought it was like a triangle in this corner or something, or that corner. Was there like a triangle
No,
lot?
I never had that.
All right. And this is the this is the stormwater?
Yeah, I did it here for this particular lot here, so it didn't go to Nagley
Yep.
area or this owner.
This one
And-
here.
And then here's the exist, so there's a culvert that comes through here, and then it goes through this swale, so I've got that, that lighter line through here. I have a
Okay.
plan without an aerial overlay. for
This is great, I like this.
Okay, so then this goes down through here, and then you can see what I did is I picked it up through here, I sent it back through here. So I get treatment of the stormwater through using natural swales and vegetation, and then I get some recharge in the aquifer over there, and it's
Right.
pretty simple.
And the soils are great there, so.
Yeah.
And this all does sit over an aquifer as well. I think a lot of people don't realize that, but it does. So, I think before we move to the public, Art, there are just a few procedural things since we're going from a major to a minor subdivision.
Yeah,
We need to reclassify.
Yeah, we can address those, or the board can address those in a procedural resolution
Subsequent to the...
after public comment.
And we'll be keeping the public hearing
I
open.
have that here, yes.
Okay, very good. Members of the public, questions, comments, suggestions? Yes? Okay.
My property is most southerly proximate to this, so very favorable. When I go down McGuire Lane and I look to my right, there's quite a deep ditch. The driveways are going to be further, not going down that ditch?
No, actually, probably halfway down between your house and Acton Hook Road, we're going to head down through there, so there's going to be some fill that will allow those driveways to access down there.
Any other comments? Ryan, at this point, did you have anything you wanted to?
I know the CAB sort of precedes me becoming chair. I know the CAB had submitted comments. But we didn't see an engineering report, or it just didn't get to our meeting. We can just try to look through our comments and see if anything applies.
Okay. Well, we'll be continuing this to September 15th, the public hearing, so you certainly can, get copies of what's now submitted for the 4-lot subdivision, and have those to go over.
Just for the board's clarification, I did forward the revised plans to the town engineer.
Okay.
He was out last week. So, but all the revised documents were forwarded to the...
Excellent. I was just going to say, because I don't think we've heard back from
Right.
Morris yet on the previous of this. Okay.
Right. So, and Ryan, I'm happy to go over and meet with you if you want to go out to the site. I'll happy to go out there and walk around with you.
I'll try to send you an email.
Okay.
That says that's-
All right, great.
Very good. Okay. Any other comments from the public at this point? The public hearing will be kept open. Okay, I guess the first thing I want to do is just get a resolution to keep the
Okay.
public hearing open, and then Art's going to have a are you gonna-
Actually, we can do it as
Oh, you're going to
one.
incorporate it?
I
Ah,
think what the board can do is, planning board accepts the amended application by John McGuire for a 4-lot subdivision based upon the project engineer's revised plan dated August 4th, 2014, reclassifies the subdivision as a minor subdivision instead of a major subdivision under the town land subdivision regulations, continues the public hearing to September 15th at 6:40 PM, and 4, authorizes the planning consultant to draft a secret determination and the framework of a conditional plat approval resolution for consideration by the board, with it understood that the framework may be revised to incorporate any outstanding comments from either the CAB or the planning board engineer.
okay. Very good. Could I hear a motion to approve?
So be it.
Second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay.
Thank you.
And I guess the only other thing that might be interesting is talk to Ron about whether, suggest to him that it's,
You need to have that conversation with Ron.
oh, you think I should do that?
Yeah,
Okay.
you need a generic conversation with Ron.
Okay.
About
grandfathered versus-
The practice has always been that those are grandfathered conditions.
Okay, okay. I will have a conversation with Ron. You're most welcome.
Otherwise, it's going to come up on every application.
Well, so far it has.
Yeah.
Okay, moving right along. Robert Duffy, 195 River Road and 31 Carmel Drive, subdivision plat, lot consolidation, special use permits, wetland permit, and site plan. Planning board consideration of resolution concerning applications for special use permits and site plan review and approval under Town Code Chapter 125 zoning application for subdivision plat approval under Town Code Chapter 101, subdivision of land and application for wetlands permit under Town Code Chapter 120 wetlands in the matter of the proposed single-family residential development of consolidated parcels with site landscaping improvements, guest accommodations, including 2 guest cottages, 1 detached accessory dwelling, and other accessory structures in the Historic Preservation Zoning District, the Hudson River National Historic Landmarks District, the Estates District Scenic Area of statewide significance, and the Town of Rhinebeck Local Waterfront Revitalization Area, being a Type 1 action under seeker for which a negative declaration, determination of non-significance, was issued and public hearing closed on July 14th, 2014. Now,
Michael, the
Yes.
the applicant's representatives may have some additional comment, but cutting to the bottom line here rather quickly, the planning board has held this matter open only because of the pending applications that were before the ZBA. The ZBA and on August 6th decided those applications wholly in favor of the applicant. There are no conditions attached to those applications other than one by the ZBA, and that was the requirement that the 2 parcels be consolidated. Accordingly, there is in your meeting notes a draft resolution approving all aspects of with suitable conditions and requirements, all aspects of the applications that are before this board. And there are a couple of minor modifications to that resolution that we can get into the draft before that resolution is considered by the board. That's essentially the story. It's been a long process and appears to have resulted in a very nice project.
and do we wish to prolong the process by the reading of a 10-page resolution?
Well, I think we better first tell you where the modifications are. If you move to, it's not the 10th page of the resolution, but the 12th page of my meeting notes, there's a paragraph. Those site improvements which were reviewed, et cetera.
Yes.
Just add to that after the, or replacing the, before the colon essentially, comma, subject to any applicable DEC seasonal timing limitations on tree cutting.
Very good.
On the next page, under the B paragraph, which is essentially an authorization immediately of the conduct or the undertaking of certain site improvements that don't require either a building permit or county health department approval. Add to that list restoration of the stone wall on River Road.
That'd be
And
nice.
under the C paragraph, add to that list security gates.
Is everyone familiar with this resolution?
Yes, what I would recommend you do is, with the modifications that Art has just proposed, they be put in, the resolution that he is proposing be made official, and that it be printed up and in the public forum, so anybody who wants to read the technical details will have more than an opportunity to read it. And let's move on, unless you want to sit here all night and read it.
I already finished my beverage. I don't think I can. Genevieve, you're aware of what's in here, and your client's aware?
Yes, and we certainly consent to the resolution as drafted in this
Okay.
one.
Okay, is everyone comfortable with this, then?
Absolutely.
I ask for a resolution of approval for Mr. Duffy's project.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? I'll poll the board. Woody?
Aye.
Jesse?
Aye.
Sharon?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Well, I don't want to belabor the meeting any longer than necessary, but I do want to thank the board for its attention and hard work. This application certainly involved almost every permit that
Yeah.
It was, of course, a type 1 action that deserves serious consideration. I particularly want to thank the chairman for suggesting the site visit at the public hearing of July 14, because I think that was a very proactive way to get people talking and move the matter forward. So I think that was very proactive. So thank you very much, and your consultants for all the hard work.
Thank you. I'd like to say, actually, it's been fun working with you people. You've been extraordinarily accommodating. Working with you has been fun. It's basically a project I think has really turned into a very fine project. I think quite honestly, it just shows the value of cooperation between the board and applicants and the public. And so I'm delighted we've come to this point. I hope Mr. Duffy will be very, very happy here and very comfortable. And thank you all very much. Okay, moving right along. Now that I still have a voice. The next thing we have on here is Joseph Romeo Sean McCluskey, agent. Now, this is the person who called Joni and asked to be taken off the agenda tonight. Joni asked for an email, something in writing with that request. Specifically, do they want to be taken off the agenda? They want to be postponed to the next agenda, whatever, and we've heard nothing from them, but I see they're not here. So I'm assuming that we'll have to wait to hear what they want to do for the 15th. I don't just want to continue something without hearing from the applicant. So we will move on to the next one. Thomas Thompson, Sally Mazzarella Park, New York State Route 308 West, applications for special use permits, site plan review and approval, and wetland permit. In consideration of 6-month expiration of prior approvals granted by the Town Planning Board on December 16, 2013, Planning Board review of resubmitted applications and processing as may be timely under Town Code and seeker. Those have been submitted. Did we ever get a letter from Ron? Just, he'd gone over them and everything's hunky-dory? Does Ron know he's supposed to give us a letter? Do we know why we didn't get a letter?
I think time.
Time, yeah, okay.
It's a huge project.
Yeah.
but he
Hasn't had a chance to
hasn't had
look over the whole
to
thing.
before.
With the fact that there was a letter from the previous ZEO, are there any changes?
No.
No.
No changes.
So we can assume that the previous, yes, sir?
Interrupt you for a second. We get a timestamp on this 7:25, it is not 7:25. To be completely in the legal scope, I think we should wait till 7:25 to
Okay.
discuss
Just
this.
in case.
Just in case?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Good point, thank
yeah,
you.
because there's community interest.
There is, yes.
There may be.
That's a polite way of putting it, isn't it?
There's been interest.
Community interest. Do you want to look at the ZBA referrals that we can't do anything about?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Let's do that. Okay, the first one is John Martin. I'm familiar with this because this came in when I was still functioning in a previous life. And I actually filled out the applications for him, helped him fill them out. Basically, what he wants to do is, he has a structure there on a concrete pad, he wants to tear it down and put up a new structure, a garage. He has a number of storage pods you've seen on his property. He wants to move all that stuff into this garage and get rid of those storage pods. This building area is down behind his house, where you can't see it from 9G down in there. Although I don't remember for the life of me what the variance was for. It would not require any planning board approval because it's private property, it's not a site plan, it's just nothing like that. It's not an accessory dwelling, it's an accessory structure, and you're allowed to do that. But I have no idea what the variance was for.
I believe again, I haven't seen the whole application, but what I could glean from either a public notice or something of that sort is it has something to do with the square footage of accessory buildings on a property.
Okay, he's larger than that, okay.
Substantially larger.
Okay.
Very substantially larger, I believe. But again, there's nothing for the planning board to react to here because the application, the details of the application are not before the board.
Okay, so that's what we will,
Is that best judgment?
did we get these referrals?
I thought we did.
I don't,
Where are they?
I know Art hasn't seen them. Has anyone seen these
I don't know where, if
referrals?
I had them, I would have emailed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that maybe there's still a little confusion about what goes to the planning board in terms of ZBA stuff, and it maybe didn't come up to you, Joni.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Did anyone see these? Okay.
At this
then there
time,
are
I don't
two
think
other-
we can intelligently address it because we don't have enough
No.
information.
No, since I filled it out and don't remember
and
what
the
it
same
was, we
applies to
really
the-
can't do it.
The same applies to those other two that are listed.
Yeah.
Although technically, it appears that the public hearings were, the notices indicated public hearings were scheduled for August 6th. There's been no referred information on either of those other matters to this board
Yeah.
either.
We did the Darren Davidovich because we had a proposal before us. The Brennan Kearney will come before us as an accessory dwelling application, but it hasn't yet. She was going to the ZBA first, so we haven't seen it. So unlike the Darren Davidovich one, we don't have any information on that. And I have no idea what the Rosemary Baker one is.
Can't take action on something you don't know about. Let's move on.
Oh, you know what it is?
Well, yeah, I had to report on it.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. I'll look at my notes.
Thank you.
Just so you...
And, oh, Ryan knows what,
Well, we still can't
Okay,
take-
Ryan.
We still can't take this as
no, we can't take
official
any
input.
action, but wouldn't you like to know what it
This
is?
is hearsay.
It's rumor.
It's
That's all it
hearsay.
is.
It's
Not
hearsay absent the
I'm just
I'd
application.
love to
Curious.
listen to you, but
I'm just curious, well, Ryan, spit it out. I'm just curious.
I believe she wants to put in a handicap access ramp to her home.
Okay, and then because it probably is too far forward or it doesn't set back or something like that?
Setback reduction from 150 to 41.
Okay, that's okay.
I think we might want to reinforce the requirements that we have to the ZBA so they understand what we need to do our job in a timely fashion.
We have a new CBA secretary and
Yeah,
she just started.
yeah, I'll go down and when I go to talk to, yeah.
Like a religious ceremony to me.
Yeah, Brennan's really good, and so she knows what to do, she will do
I'm not
it.
going to guarantee that we didn't get them, because there's something in the back of my head that says, like
Yeah,
a month, 6 weeks ago.
yeah. Okay, well, we'll just go down and we'll clarify and make sure that we're all on the same page, that's all.
The requirement is as stated in my meeting notes. The referral to the ZBA is to occur to the planning board prior to the conduct of the public hearing, because technically, the report of the planning board is supposed to be entered into the public hearing record of the ZBA.
Yep.
Anyway, thank you very much for your offer of help. We could probably go on to Edward McNally, just because... Is a representative here from Mr. Oh, boy, are you in trouble this time.
I spoke to Mr. McNally today,
Okay,
and I'm somewhat familiar with the application.
okay, and you're familiar with the correspondence between the zoning enforcement officer?
Right, that's why Mr. McNally contacted me today.
Okay,
to take care of- to- Hopefully, what's that, Joan?
Authorization?
Yeah. The authorization to represent Mr. McNally is to another attorney, I believe,
yeah.
as opposed to...
A real estate person was supposed to be
Real
here.
estate or an attorney or
A
something?
real estate.
So he was here. That's the gentleman.
Oh, okay.
Who
Oh.
hooked me up, and so
And he left?
the truth was, it's his wife's birthday.
Oh,
So we didn't have this scheduled, so I said I would be here to, and I spoke to Mr. McNally today,
Yeah.
I can contact him right now, I have his cell phone.
It's up to the board.
No.
I'm just letting you know what I don't have.
Just because,
There's no paper, if it
Yeah,
ain't,
just to be-
if it isn't on
Yeah.
paper, we ain't got it.
yeah, the thing with Mr. McNally is, even if we were to proceed tonight, it would be at his risk, because he has had work done on the property in the vicinity within the Crum Elbow, even over the Crum Elbow, without any authorization from any board, DC, or anything like that. So the likelihood of a letter of violation coming from the zoning enforcement officer is significant, which would then prohibit us from doing anything. And I've been copied on the letters between Ron and Mr. McNally, so I know what the questions are that have been raised. I don't think they've been answered, at least as of today, they haven't been answered yet, that I know of, unless they went to Ron, and he isn't in until tomorrow.
And just, so I advised Mr. McNally the same, for me to speak to Ron and address those issues before proceeding.
Yeah, okay.
with the application. That was my recommendation.
Okay, I think that was very wise. I think we have some issues there, I think that are going to
Right,
need to be addressed.
right, so I was going to go see Ron tomorrow.
Okay, very good. He's going to be busy tomorrow. We'll all go and gang up on him. Okay.
Why doesn't the planning board then, as proposed by Mark, defer consideration of this item to, and actually the agenda, put it on the September 15th calendar. If the issues aren't resolved, then it can't proceed at
come
that
off.
time, but at least put it on the calendar for September 15th.
So that he makes sure he has made the application.
Because the application, absent the problem that's associated with the potential or prospective violations regarding the work on the property, the application that's been submitted for the lot line alterations is a complete application.
Yeah, it's ready to go.
Right.
Okay. Well,
So, and what I'll do is I'll
Where'd
have
Johnny
a
go?
letter of authorization to
Or office.
okay.
take care
Okay.
of that issue.
And remind me to remind Joan that we just did that.
Okay.
We will, actually, could I have a motion to defer this application to September 15th as a,
As a new, still
As a-
still a new business
under new
item.
business?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Jesse, motion, Woody seconded, and we all aye. Okay, make a note of that, tell Jen, because I'll forget. Okay, 2 minutes to go.
That was just to defer it.
Gee, maybe you could have read that, Duffy.
Oh, shut up.
Michael, did you get my note about the Dutchess County Planning Federation?
Yeah. Oh, would you want to announce that? I don't know if anyone else got that. Actually, we all did, 'cause Joan.
And the
I signed
aspect,
up
and
for
the
it.
aspect of required planning board training
Yeah, would take care of all 4 hours.
I
would
signed-
take care of all
I signed
4
up.
hours
Yeah.
in one shot, because, planning board members are supposed to have 4 hours of accredited training per year.
Yeah.
That one evening would provide the opportunity for all 4
signed
hours,
up.
I
and
probably should. When is it again?
it's
September 11th?
Something?
September 11th.
Okay.
I trust it will be relatively well-attended, so I'd encourage getting
Yeah.
registration in. I was registrant number 2.
Ah, okay.
But I'd
I don't know
encourage
what my
getting that
number
in.
was, but I did register right after I got it.
Okay, yeah, but anyone who's going to attend, I
I know these
suggest,
things are usually pretty full, so.
they've been closing people out recently.
Well, there hasn't been as many trainings in the
No,
last
they've
few
been very,
years.
very
so
few, very few.
I don't think I've
But this
done
was an opportunity to, and the subjects, historic preservation, sign control, et cetera, new case law are all germane to this board.
Sadly enough. True.
Okay,
You could be the case study.
Oh, I don't want to be a case study. Okay, what do you think?
okay, go for it.
25 past? Close as, okay. Once again, we have the application for special use permit and site plan. Was there a wetland permit involved in that? For the trails, things like that?
Yep.
Okay. Only so we was resubmitted.
Yep.
Okay, what we want to do tonight is accept the application, schedule the public hearing for September 15th. Because it was already subject to a seeker review, I think it was type 1 then, would it be type 1 again?
Actually, the secret review here does not expire just because of the expiration of the permits, and the secret review has been conducted by the town board.
Okay.
And the negative declaration issued by the town board, frankly, that's still in effect.
Okay. So even though it was whatever it was, the negative deck still applies, so you don't have to do seeker again?
Still applies.
What about the dual political subdivisions?
The jurisdictions, the provision of the village law is a little different. The permits, the approvals in the village have a one-year sunset, so those are still in effect.
The only question that someone might bring up, and maybe this is what you're speaking to, is that all public hearings are supposed to be held jointly with the village and town planning boards. And in this case, we're not including the village planning board because they haven't expired. I mean, this is a circumstance which I don't think anyone anticipated. So there is some risk there as we go forward, but I don't see any other way to do it.
Why don't you, at least in the resolution, invite the participation or the
The village.
attendance of the village planning board?
Okay.
It's a good point.
Just to make sure.
That at least satisfies the spirit of the intermunicipal
Right,
agreement.
okay.
Plus, they can come back and say that our approval is good for 1 year.
Right.
We don't care to get involved.
That's right, but
Okay.
Then it's their response, it's their decision, not ours.
Yeah.
But they'll be on the record for doing it
Yep.
too. Okay.
Let's do it.
So the resolution will be to accept the applications, to
it's a
schedule the public hearing.
6 points starting on page 18.
Oh,
Accepts the resubmitted applications as adequate for review by the planning board, the board's advisors, and the public. This is after 3 pages of explaining what the applications are and all the attachments. Continues classification of the proposed action as an unlisted action under seeker and acknowledges, as cited above, the town board's role as seeker lead agency and its issuance of a negative declaration determination of non-significance. Schedules a combined public hearing as set forth within the annexed notice of public hearing on the resubmitted applications for Monday, September 15th at
6:45.
6:45, and directs the clerk to undertake or otherwise cause the noticing and posting thereof in accordance with the requirements set forth within Town Code 120 Wetlands and Chapter 120 Wetlands and Chapter 125 Zoning, Section 125-77. Refers the resubmitted applications to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development for review and advisory opinion pursuant to Section 239 GML. Refers the resubmitted applications to the Town Conservation Advisory Board for review and comments. Invites the participation of the Village Planning Board in the public hearing. And 6, without prejudice to any new information which may be presented at the public hearing or as a consequence of the above referrals, requests the town's planning consultant prepare a draft approvals resolution for consideration by the planning board when and if time.
I like that. Could I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay. Very good. According to what I have here, we're done. Would that be does anyone have any questions, statements? Mark, anything you need to tell us before we go home?
Well, the Dutchess County Fairgrounds, the Agricultural Society.
Right.
I was here I was here at 3 o'clock
Okay.
on that day.
Yeah, you can consider that.
Yeah, I think, we can certainly bring that.
Yeah, we
because
forgot to add it to the agenda at the
it was a
beginning,
mi- Yeah, it was a mistake on my part not to make sure that was on the agenda. So basically, this is the initial introduction of redoing the entrance, the north entrance, the north access point to the fairgrounds will now become the entrance to the fairgrounds.
What's it, site plan and special use permit, Mark?
I know,
It's like a million permits. I need site plan.
Time, wetlands, yeah.
I need site plan, wetlands. We actually,
DOT,
DOT,
Yeah.
we can share. We'll be
share. DOT, also,
sharing collapsed.
also the section of the roadway here shows that it's in floodplain.
Wonderful.
But my actual field measurements show that it's out of floodplain. So,
You're not going for a LOMA.
No,
A LOMA is a letter of map adjustment through the,
it'll take forever.
Yeah,
I
see-
would rather just go through a
get the floodplain permit.
development permit from
Right.
the town. So I don't know if, I think last year, it might have been this time, Andy and Robbie and I came in and had a
Yes.
discussion about this. Well, so it was, they're utilizing, the north entrance as a fairgrounds now. They're trying to use it as the main entrance, and it seems to be favorable with, with the traffic patterns on Route 9 now. So following that, we went back to the DOT and talked to the DOT about it. And the first thing they asked for was that we did some type of traffic study that that seemed to justify putting in a right turn or turning lanes in that location for the north entrance. So there's two possibilities for turning lanes. Heading north, a right turn lane. Heading south, a left turn lane. Did all the traffic counts at the time we did it. Actually, did it for Sheep and Wool Festival. And all the thresholds were met, and the DOT said, yes, you can put in turning lanes. It was decided that trying to put in a left turn lane heading south would be way too costly. What happens is, in order to be able to stack up the traffic and have adequate distances, widths for the lanes, the bridge that's located across from Dowdens is too narrow. And so that's a restricting, it's too restricting. So to try to change that would be extremely costly. So it was decided that just to get, for heading south, continue as they're doing it now. Use cones, cone it off. We have, 6 days a year where you really need it, the fair and Sheep and Wool Festival, maybe 7 days a year you really need it. So then what was finally decided was to have a right turn, utilize a right turn lane heading north, and it would just be added onto the existing shoulder that's there, and then add on a shoulder to that. So we can keep all those improvements. There may have to be a little bit of land transfer to the DOT, but we can keep all those improvements to the west of the fence and the trees. And we can keep all those trees and the fence there without having to make any changes. And so then there would be, as you're heading north, a right turn lane into the fairgrounds. And so then what it comes down to is, to create a new entrance, a north entrance at the fair, through here, allowing that channelization of traffic. One of the things that DOT, that came up in our discussions with DOT, is they wanted a modification of the existing main entrance. Okay, so it was talked about, not temporarily, having some means to restrict access there under normal events, but be able to open it up in case of emergency. That was number one. And we're still, working on the details of that. And the second item was to change the intersection at Mulberry Street, which you can see is done now.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to recommend that you somehow or other update your drawings because that island is gone now.
I know, I designed it.
Oh,
And we,
well,
and we put, when we finished, we had it, when did we have it done last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, we took the island out, no guessing as to which way you go in and out of it now.
That's absolutely the right thing to do.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's been
that's
changed. So anyway, we did that, and just had to do things in phases for costs for the fairgrounds. So that Mulberry Street access is now taken care of. So now the focus is on what to do with, a new main access at the north end of the fairgrounds property. So we just wanted to start the application process with this board, and as I mentioned, and so what they want to do is, I described, what changes will take place on Route 9. They also want to have some channelization, change the channelization once you enter into the property. So you can see that increased a couple lanes in width so that we can better move traffic into the parking areas through here, okay? And then what it also involves would be to widen that access road going across that stream that's there. That's a drainage ditch with there's an existing culvert there, and it would involve widening that also. So the application in front of this board would be for site plan. Obviously, there's wetlands disturbance from the town portion. Not only with that crossing, with that change of that existing crossing, so that crossing would be for a town wetland, and it's still to be determined whether it's core or DEC, because on the west side of Route 9, adjacent on Dowden's property, that's state wetland.
Yeah, you think they might consider this hydrologically?
Well, so I had a field flag last week, and there's a question whether they're going to need to get DEC out
Okay.
there. It's, Jonathan Russell is the new wetland biologist.
Okay.
Heather Gerloff's no longer. She's parked on the Tappan Zee Bridge now for a while. I got to get Jonathan Russell out there to look at it. But I had wetlands flagged all the way from Dowden's, and there's that stream that dumps into it, goes through here, cuts through here, and then also through this piece here.
Right.
Flagged all along through there, and I need to have those located and determination made by the state to see whether it's going to be a state wetland permit for all of it.
And if it's a state wetland permit, you don't need one from us.
Right.
Right.
Okay, and then in addition to that, as I mentioned, when I pull up the FEMA maps, it shows that section where we're proposing the roadway, it shows that to be in floodplain. My elevation, my detailed survey work shows otherwise. I'll document that, but it more than likely is going to also include a floodplain development permit with the town.
Okay. Now, my understanding is there's never been a special use permit issued for the Fair property. We've never done it. So I don't imagine this is just going to be, I don't even know if we have a site plan on file for the town portion. So I would assume, obviously the site plan application is required, but I don't see why we need a special use permit.
Why would we need a site plan updated with all the buildings, because they've been there since...
No, just on the town, because that's all in the village. We don't deal with that anyway.
I'm sorry.
No.
That's right.
It's just...
Everything I'm doing is in the town.
Is in the town.
Village, because we've gone through that process. We have an approved site plan in the village.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We do. That's done. Along with all the other zoning language that was associated with it.
I'm not even sure what sort of a special use permit we would issue if one was required.
Well, you
for
were
the
talking
town
about
portion.
special use permits because of environmental protection
Right.
matters, environmental resource matters.
Right, as opposed to use.
Yeah, and some of that's going to be, let's see, maybe supplanted by the EC permit, the wetlands permit, the flood development permit. So there may not be a special permit required because it may be superseded by one of the others in every case.
Oh, we have other special use permit, at least one will probably have to come into effect, something like that, which would allow, then the site plan will go hand in hand with that.
Right, and then there's the, we said there's a wetlands permit unless it's
DEC.
DEC
The
wetlands.
state takes it.
Right.
Yeah, and then it's the floodplain permit.
We're comfortable just accepting at this point a site plan application, because this will then be a site plan for this portion in the town. I think this will be it. A pending wetland permit, or do you want to just do the site plan at this point?
You can't act on the site plan unless if it requires a wetlands permit, you can't act on the site plan
Without
unless
the
the
wetlands
wetlands permit
permit.
is acted upon.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm still
What-
waiting for a so it's flagged. I didn't get it located.
Okay.
I'm not going to locate it until
Yeah.
next week.
Why don't we, just suggesting to Mark and the board,
Defer to the 15th.
why don't we leave it that, why doesn't the board leave it that Mark and I work out between this meeting and the next meeting to the best we can, in terms of with cooperation of others, what applications are or are not required, and therefore have a procedural resolution and that sort of thing ready for the board's consideration at your next meeting, considering this is, basically considering this evening a sketch plan conference.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. And by then, I'm hopeful, because I've already got a call into DEC to come out and verify the flags.
Okay.
And then give us a determination of whether they're going to, I'm looking at I don't know, there's a stream bed there, but there's vegetation.
Yeah.
They used to not cross the road, but now sometimes they cross the road. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know whether they're going to stop at the bridge on the west side of 9, and just stop there.
Or say it's hydrologically one and the same, just happens to have a road through
Yeah,
it.
but usually, there's also, like, if it's a defined stream channel, and there's no vegetation in the stream channel, you go a certain distance,
And that's it.
and then if there's that,
Okay.
even though if there's a hydraulic connection,
They don't,
if they don't have the vegetation.
they don't pick up on that. Okay. So shall we then put this on the agenda for the 15th as a
It's continu-
introduction again
It'll be
of
continuing.
a application for site plan and potential other permits?
Right, and so then in the meantime, I have the ability to speak to Art,
Right.
and then also Ron about this.
Yeah. That's the only other thing I would look at. Is there a special use permit for like nonprofit recreation, something like that, for the use of the property, for which the only thing we're going to deal with in site plan is parking? I mean, I don't know.
But we're not, in like, this is just access for parking.
Well, exactly, but it's the site plan also, then it'll be defined as parking, because then you'll have a site plan for this. I mean, this is, there's no,
The village has fairgrounds in their ordinance.
well, they do now, we don't. We don't have anything like that.
Yeah, we went through all that.
There-
Village now has it.
Yeah, we don't have anything like that, which is why I just thought you might want to take a look and see if there's anything we maybe should be applying, even though the only site plan issues will be parking.
Right.
There won't be any facilities to do
Yeah,
anything.
this is actually parking supportive of a...
Although they do have the Northern Dutchess Hospital Gala back here,
You do.
Don't they have soccer fields?
and you do have soccer fields back there.
There's soccer fields.
I've
there.
heard that.
Yeah. Oh, stop it. So I just want to look the zoning law, so if someone comes and raises an issue, you must be prepared to respond, that's all. Other than that, I don't see any problem here. They got a lot of buildings in the village. Looks like an army barracks.
There used to be horses in there.
Yeah. Used to be dirt track racing in there. Ah, well, the good old days. Anyone have any questions for Mark on any of this? Okay.
So what are they going to use the original main gate for? Exit? That's exit?
Yeah, it would be emergency, it would, they'd still want to have people come out here,
They're going in here and out here.
in here and out here, and then what Andy wants to do is keep this for buses, right?
That's a good
So
idea.
he wants to, what DOT is, wants this southern half closed off, right? And then just have access here and be able to park buses in here,
It's not a bad idea.
right?
Also, I believe emergency services wanted an ability to dump that fairgrounds if they had to in a hurry.
Right.
That's why, like originally it was going to be recurbing that.
Yeah.
And then after several letters from emergency services and the sheriff and the state
Yeah, the
troopers.
state police and the sheriff are both involved.
Right, so then it was just setting up a barrier.
Right, that can be knocked right down.
Barrier, so
Right.
you get people out in a hurry if you had to.
Like a big inflatable cow. I never said I was aesthetically astute. Any questions, any more questions for Mark?
I don't think so.
Okay, we'll put this is be on the agenda under new business for September 15th. I think that concludes this evening's entertainment. Anyone else have anything else? Woody? Who would like the honor to second? Second, all in favor? Not true, aye. We stand adjourned.